young man, and were even younger at the time, was that a great deal of responsibility for you? Did you feel any different?
It's a great deal of responsibility. It's something that I didn't. It's something I had experienced.
Yeah. What was there a problem with it?
No, just understanding. Okay.
What was the difference between suddenly not being the heavyweight champion and all of a sudden you were?
The story of Leon Spinks is one of triumph, scandal and personal tragedy, once celebrated for his stunning victory over Muhammad Ali, a feat that shocked the world. Spinks' life off the ring painted a far darker picture. Beneath the glitz and glory of the boxing world lay chaos, dysfunction and a marriage to Nova Spinks that was as tumultuous as it was tragic. Today we delve into the rise and fall of Leon Spinks. This is more than a story about a legendary boxer. It is a deeply human tale of love, betrayal and heartbreak that reflects the extremes of his career, from a celebrated champion to a man struggling with his demons. Spinks' personal life was a roller coaster. To truly understand this story, we must first explore Leon Spinks' troubled beginnings. His rise to fame wasn't just a triumph of athletic ability, it was a testament to resilience against unimaginable odds. Born on July 11, 1953 in St. Louis, Missouri, Leon Spinks entered a world marked by hardship. The eldest of several siblings, Leon's early years were defined by extreme poverty and a home environment fraught with instability. His family lived in the Pewitt-Ego housing projects, a public housing complex notorious for its high crime rates and poor living conditions. These challenges were compounded by the absence of a reliable father figure. Leon's father, Leon Spinks Sr., was largely absent from the household. His sporadic appearances were often marked by episodes of verbal and physical abuse. When he wasn't around, Leon and his siblings turned to their mother, Kay Frances Spinks, for support, but she too struggled to provide a stable environment. Known for her involvement with drugs and her tendency to bring questionable men into the home, Kay was often absent or neglected, leaving Leon and his siblings to fend for themselves. The lack of structure and parental guidance forced Leon to grow up quickly. His neighborhood was riddled with violence and he frequently witnessed fights, robberies and drug use. These harsh realities shaped his worldview, teaching him that survival meant toughness and adaptability. Despite these challenges, young Leon displayed a spark of resilience that would later define his boxing career. As Leon entered his teenage years, the turbulence of his childhood began to manifest in rebellious behavior. With no father to guide him and a mother who was more often absent than present, Leon turned to the streets for a sense of belonging. He became involved in petty crime, often engaging in fights and minor thefts. The streets of St. Louis offered little opportunity for escape and Leon's future seemed bleak. His salvation came in an unexpected form: boxing. Leon discovered the sport through a local gym where he found a way to channel his aggression and energy. Boxing offered structure and discipline, two things that had been sorely lacking in his life. Though his training at this stage was sporadic, it planted the seed for a passion that would later define his career. However, boxing wasn't enough to keep Leon out of trouble. By the early 1970s, his run-ins with the law and chaotic lifestyle were beginning to catch up with him. Seeking a way out of St. Louis and a chance to start fresh, Leon joined the United States Marine Corps in 1974. Stationed in Texas, he hoped the military would provide the discipline and direction he desperately needed. The military proved to be a mixed blessing. On the one hand, Leon arrived in the Marines boxing program where his natural talent and work ethic earned him recognition. On the other hand, he struggled to adjust to the strict rules and hierarchy of military life. Leon frequently found himself in trouble with the military police, often ending up in the BRG for minor infractions. Despite these setbacks, his time in the military laid the foundation for his future boxing career, honing the skills that would later make him a champion. After months of long-distance communication, Leon and Nova finally met in person. Their connection deepened quickly and Leon was so taken with Nova that he brought her to St. Louis to meet his family. However, this visit marked the first sign of trouble. Leon's mother, Kay Frances, openly disapproved of Nova. Known for her fiery temper and sharp tongue, Kay Frances made no effort to hide her disdain, allegedly insulting Nova and belittling her light complexion. Despite this rocky introduction to Leon's family, the couple pressed forward with their relationship. In 1975, Leon proposed to Nova and the two were married shortly thereafter. Nova left her life in Iowa to join Leon in Texas, bringing her young son along with her. However, the cracks in their relationship began to show almost immediately. Leon insisted that Nova sell all her belongings before the move, including her car and furniture, promising that he would provide everything they needed in their new life together. But when Nova arrived in Texas, she found an empty apartment and no car. Leon had spent the money Nova had sent him to furnish their home on military fines, leaving the family to sleep on the floor. This early betrayal set the tone for their marriage. Nova's initial shock turned to frustration, but she resolved to make things work. Meanwhile, Leon's focus shifted increasingly to his burgeoning boxing career, leaving Nova to shoulder the responsibilities of their household. The seeds of their tumultuous relationship had been sown, though Leon and Nova had entered their marriage with hope and love. The challenges of Leon's chaotic upbringing, his infidelity and his focus on his career would soon begin to unravel the fragile bond they had built. Nova Sage entered her marriage to Leon Spinks with high hopes, envisioning a fresh start and a better life for herself and her young son. Leon's charm and promises of a stable future convinced her to leave behind her life in Iowa, sell her belongings and join him in Texas, where he was stationed with the military. Leon insisted that she sell her car, furniture and other possessions, assuring her that he would take care of everything and provide a fully furnished home for their family. Nova, trusting her new husband, followed his instructions, eager to build a life together. However, upon arriving in Texas, Nova was met with a harsh reality. The apartment Leon had promised was entirely unfurnished. No beds, no chairs, no tables. Even more shocking, Leon revealed that the money she had sent to help furnish the home had been spent on military fines to keep him out of trouble with the military police. Nova was left speechless, realizing that her sacrifices and trust had been misplaced. That first night, Nova, her young son and Leon were forced to sleep on the cold, hard floor of the apartment. Days turned into weeks and there was still no furniture. Leon's promise to use his next paycheck to buy beds and chairs never materialized. Frustrated and determined, Nova eventually found a solution herself. She stumbled upon unused furniture in a nearby storage room and decided to move it into their apartment. This quick thinking brought some comfort to their lives, but it also set a precedent. Nova would learn that if she wanted stability in her marriage, she would have to take matters into her own hands. While Leon struggled to provide for his family at home, he was thriving in another area of his life, boxing. The military's boxing program offered him a structured environment where he could channel his natural talent and raw power. Leon quickly became a standout fighter, impressing coaches and earning recognition as a rising star. This success laid the foundation for his eventual transition to professional boxing. However, Leon's achievements in the ring didn't translate to stability at home. His time away from Nova and his son increased as he focused on training and competitions, leaving Nova to manage their household on her own. Although Nova supported his career, she began to feel the strain of raising a child and maintaining a household with little help from her husband. Adding to her growing unease was Leon's increasingly secretive behavior. As his confidence and reputation in the boxing world grew, so too did his wandering eye. Nova's suspicions were confirmed one day when she found a love letter in Leon's jacket pocket. The letter was addressed to another woman, signed by Leon himself, and expressed his love and longing for her. This discovery was a devastating blow for Nova. It was not just about the betrayal, it was also about the realization that Leon's promises of commitment and stability were hollow. Confronting Leon about the letter, Nova demanded an explanation. Instead of taking accountability, Leon attempted to downplay the situation. He claimed the letter was for someone else or that it was written long before their marriage. His responses were riddled with contradictions, leaving Nova even more frustrated and confused. Leon's manipulative tactics extended beyond excuses. He often dismissed Nova's concerns by accusing her of overreacting or imagining things, planting seeds of doubt in her mind. This gaslighting eroded Nova's confidence and made her question her own instincts. Leon was unfaithful, and his dishonesty was a clear indication of the cracks forming in their marriage. Despite her anger and hurt, Nova chose to stay, hoping that Leon's behavior would change. She rationalized his infidelity as a phase, believing that his focus on boxing and the pressures of military life might be contributing to his poor decisions. But Leon's pattern of betrayal and manipulation only grew worse over time, setting the stage for a relationship marked by scandal and heartbreak. The discovery of the letter was just the beginning. Leon's charisma and success in the ring made him a magnet for attention, particularly from other women. While Nova worked tirelessly to support their household, Leon increasingly prioritized his social life and extracurricular activities over his responsibilities as a husband and father. This dynamic began to take a toll on Nova, both emotionally and physically. She felt isolated, unsupported, and undervalued. The man she had fallen in love with, the charming, vulnerable Leon, was being overshadowed by someone who was reckless and self-centered. The lack of trust between them deepened, creating an atmosphere of tension and suspicion in their household. Arguments became more frequent, and Leon's responses to Nova's concerns were consistently dismissive. He deflected blame and avoided accountability, leaving Nova to grapple with the emotional fallout on her own. While Leon's boxing career was beginning to flourish, his marriage to Nova was already on shaky ground. The foundation of their relationship, built on promises of stability and love, was crumbling under the weight of Leon's irresponsibility and infidelity. Nova's patience and resilience would be tested further in the years to come as Leon's success brought even more challenges to their already strained union. Leon Spinks' meteoric rise in the boxing world began with his stunning performance at the 1976 Montreal Olympics. Representing the United States, Leon secured a gold medal in the light heavyweight division, solidifying his reputation as a formidable talent. The victory transformed him into a national hero almost overnight. Leon's gap-toothed grin and charismatic personality made him an instant favorite with fans and the media. The boxing world quickly took notice, and Leon signed a professional contract, marking the beginning of a new chapter in his life. His professional debut was met with great anticipation, and Leon lived up to expectations with his raw power and Relentless fighting style. The money, fame and opportunities came pouring in, but so did the temptations for a young man who had grown up in poverty. The sudden influx of wealth was overwhelming. Leon's newfound status as a celebrity also brought more women into his life, feeding his already wandering eye. At first, Nova tried to support her husband's career, standing by him as he navigated the pressures of fame. However, Leon's behavior soon became more erratic. His constant traveling, late nights and secretive phone calls raised red flags. The trust in their marriage, already fragile, began to disintegrate as Leon's infidelity became increasingly apparent. Of all the women Leon became involved with during his career, one in particular stood out: Tina, a young woman who would go on to cause some of the most significant tension in his marriage to Nova. Tina was more than just another mistress. Her boldness and audacity added an extra layer of humiliation for Nova. Nova first became aware of Tina when her phone began ringing late at night. On the other end of the line was Tina herself, openly mocking Nova and claiming she was with Leon. At that very moment, Tina's taunts escalated to the point where she allegedly called Nova while in the middle of an intimate encounter with Leon, using the call to further rub salt in the wound. This brazen display of disrespect left Nova devastated. She confronted Leon, demanding an explanation, but instead of addressing the issue, he brushed it off with vague denials. Leon's dismissive attitude only deepened the strain on their marriage, leaving Nova feeling isolated and powerless. Leon's treatment of Nova wasn't confined to private moments. His behavior at public events, particularly during his boxing matches, often subjected Nova to further humiliation. Leon's mother, Kay Francis Spinks, played a significant role in this. Known for her sharp tongue and abrasive personality, Kay Francis never approved of Nova and made no effort to hide her disdain. At boxing events, Kay Francis would openly bring Leon's mistresses to sit with her, parading them in front of Nova. She frequently referred to Nova in derogatory terms, sometimes loudly enough for others to hear. On one occasion, during a banquet honoring Leon's achievements, Kay Francis loudly insulted Nova in front of the entire room, calling her a derogatory name and demanding to be seated at the head table instead of Nova. Nova endured this treatment in silence, unwilling to cause a scene or jeopardize Leon's public image. However, the emotional toll was immense. She often found herself questioning why she continued to stay in a marriage where she was so blatantly disrespected both by her husband and his family. In 1978, Leon Spinks reached the pinnacle of his career when he defeated the legendary Muhammad Ali to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. It was one of the biggest upsets in boxing history, and the victory catapulted Leon to global stardom. For a brief moment, it seemed as though everything he had worked for had finally paid off. However, the fame and attention that came with this victory only magnified Leon's reckless behavior. His partying grew more frequent, his affairs more blatant, and his disregard for Nova's feelings more apparent. The cracks in their marriage widened as Leon embraced his new celebrity lifestyle. The breaking point came at a post-fight event following his historic victory over Ali. Nova had been waiting for Leon in their hotel room, expecting him to join her after the celebrations. When hours passed with no sign of him, she decided to look for him. Following rumors from other attendees, Nova discovered that Leon was in another hotel room. When she knocked on the door, there was no immediate answer. Determined to confront her husband, she waited until someone opened the door, and what she saw inside confirmed her worst fears. Leon was with Tina, his mistress, in a compromising position. Nova was heartbroken and furious. She demanded an explanation from Leon, but his response was as manipulative as ever. He dismissed her accusations, claiming she was imagining things or that she misunderstood what she saw. His gaslighting tactics left Nova questioning her own sanity, even though the truth was clear. This incident marked a turning point in their marriage. While Nova continued to stay with Lon for a time, the emotional damage was done. The man she had once trusted and loved was now a source of constant pain and humiliation. As Leon's fame continued to grow, so did the distance between him and Nova. The Tina affair, combined with the public humiliations orchestrated by Leon's mother, left Nova emotionally drained. She began to withdraw, focusing on raising her son and trying to salvage what little sense of normalcy she could. Meanwhile, Leon's behavior became more erratic. His focus shifted from his marriage to his career and the endless cycle of partying that came with it. For Nova, the realization that Leon valued his fame and mistresses more than his family was a bitter pill to swallow. By this point, the foundation of their marriage had completely crumbled. The once promising partnership between Leon and Nova had devolved into a toxic relationship defined by betrayal, manipulation, and heartbreak. Leon Spinks' relentless infidelity pushed Nova to her breaking point. The emotional toll of his betrayals left her mentally and physically drained. On one devastating occasion, after catching Leon with another woman, Nova attempted self-harm. In a moment of despair, on seemingly remorseful, pleaded for forgiveness, promising to change his behavior. However, these promises were empty. His reckless lifestyle continued eroding any trust Nova had left in their marriage. While pregnant with Leon's child, Nova faced immense stress due to his neglect and infidelity. Their arguments escalated, creating a toxic environment. Tragically, one particularly heated confrontation caused Nova to suffer a miscarriage. Devastated and in need of support, she was instead abandoned. Leon left her in the hospital, choosing to attend to his social life rather than stand by his grieving wife. This act of cruelty deepened the already Significant divide between them. The final and most devastating blow came when Nova's young son revealed he had been abused by one of Leon's close friends. Despite Nova's outrage and insistence that Leon cut ties with the individual, Leon continued the association. This betrayal of trust was a breaking point for Nova, who felt utterly devalued and betrayed as both a wife and mother. By 1981, Leon had moved in with one of his mistresses, effectively ending his marriage to Nova, adding insult to injury. It was Leon who filed for divorce, leaving Nova to pick up the pieces of her life. In the aftermath, Nova faced financial struggles and had to rebuild from years of emotional trauma. Her son was placed in foster care due to instability, but over time she fought to regain custody and start anew. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of sudden success, the exploitation of young athletes, and the long-term consequences of poor decisions. For all his flaws, Leon remains a symbol of resilience. A man who, despite his many challenges, etched his name into boxing history. His life offers lessons about the need for support systems for athletes both during and after their careers, and the importance of addressing the human cost of fame and glory.